Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Legendary Leaders. It is still the month of May. We are still talking about small business owners and the obstacles that many small business owners will run into, some of the most common ones. Now, realize that while I'm talking about small business owners, and I'm sure you've already figured it out as you listen to each one of these, that it doesn't only apply to small business owners, it applies to every business owner. But ultimately, these key things that I'm talking about this month, if small business owners don't acknowledge these risks and start working through them, they could be brand damaging and they could cause the business to go out of business, right? You could lose your business if you don't think through some of these common problems that face small businesses. Because here's the thing, every business when it starts is a small business. The only way that small businesses get to be large corporations is by dancing and moving through and effectively navigating the process of being in business ownership and navigating the pitfalls so that they don't make the missteps, so that they don't have the failures that we're talking about. And these conversations throughout this month are going to help you navigate some of these key pitfalls and risks that could ultimately damage your business. All right, so let's talk about what our topic is for today. Today, we're going to continue to talk about iteration. Now, last week, I talked about the fact that we have to constantly be innovating. And if you haven't listened to that, go back and check it out. Okay, I give a good example of being a landscaper and what that looks like if we're focusing in on being perfect. This week, I want you to think about the fact that businesses constantly iterate, and it's because they constantly iterate that they stay in business. Really good businesses stay in business because they're constantly innovating and iterating, meaning they're changing and they're growing and they're adjusting. And so, what does that mean? You're thinking, okay, well, Katrina, I understand that concept, but how do I apply that in my business? What does that look like for me? And I'm really glad that you asked that question. So, the key point of all of this is this: you must be in love with your customer, not your product. You must be in love with your customer, not your product. Because here's the deal: if you love the people that you serve, the people that have this problem that you're solving for them, be it a product or a service, if you love that group of people, then you're always going to find ways to serve them. Okay? Where a lot of businesses fail is it starts with the idea of I found the perfect way that we talked about last week. And they fall in love with that way. They fall in love with that product. They fall in love with the service and the way in which they deliver the service and what the service is. And because they're so focused on that piece, that as the customer's needs change, they don't change. If we take it back to the example from last week with the landscaper, let's say, for example, the only thing that I provided in my business originally was just simply mowing your grass. Let's say, though, that I'm talking to my customers and they really want their bushes trimmed, but that's just not anything that I do because I haven't hired anybody to do that, and I can't do that because I don't have enough time. I'm the only person mowing the grass. Okay, see, this goes all the way back to the first conversation about hiring someone to help, right? But let's say I don't have enough help, and it's not a skill set that I necessarily have, and so I just continue to avoid bringing in someone or solving for the request of trimming the shrubs, taking care of the shrubbery and the bushes. And so, because here's the deal, number one, I can't, but number two, look, they don't need that. Like, they think they need that, but they don't really need that. I know what they need. They just need a really good looking lawn. They need the grass to look perfect. Don't worry about the bushes. The bushes are fine. We'll get to those later. But here's the deal. Those individuals are probably in love with what they provide and also a little bit hesitant to hire. And they're also, hesitant to look around and listen to what the customer needs. And in all those instances, you're focusing on what you do offer and saying that should be enough, as opposed to really understanding what you don't offer and therefore what you need to add. And I call that falling in love with your product and not your customer. You have to love your customer. You have to. It's a must. You have to love your customer because they're going to be asking for all these different things. And if you don't provide all of those different things, they will find someone who does. We have to always remember that our customers vote with their dollars. That's how they vote for us. They vote for businesses just like they vote for politicians, okay? And so the businesses that provide the best service and the best products and that meet the customer's needs, and I would even challenge to say exceeds the customer's needs, they get the dollars. They get all the votes. And so they get to stay in business. And the businesses that don't, well, they don't win the race. They don't get to stay in business. And so the way that you're going to overcome that is by falling in love with your customer. And that is the way that you're going to win. Because when I'm in love with my customer, and I can tell you this from experience and legend, if you go back and listen to the 365 episodes that I did that started in mid-January of 2020 and ran through mid-January of 2021, I did a podcast episode a day for 365 days. And if you want to listen to all those, you will listen to how I constantly evolved. I changed. I continue to iterate. Because ultimately what I love helping people. Specifically, I love helping people be successful in their business. Now, that could be a business that they own, and that's primarily what I do, but it can also be a business that they work for. They're an executive, they're smart, they're strong, they're capable. They love the corporate world. They want to stay in there, but they want to be the most valuable asset in that organization. And so how do you become the most valuable asset? I teach all of these things. And the reason why I do that is because I listen to my customer. I listen to the people that I want to serve. And I want to help provide the services that they need. It's really that simple. I've constantly iterated and adjusted and changed. I started, if you go back and listen to the episodes, I started offering training on how to scale your business. That's where I started. Teaching businesses how to scale, and specifically how to become more efficient as they scale so they can hang on to more profit and therefore have cash flow, right? Because cash flow is king. I started there. I have moved all the way down to helping someone who is having an idea of starting a business actually start their business. I teach all of those pieces in between, as well as how to be successful in the corporate world. Why? Because I've done all of those things. And I've helped other people do all of those things. So why not, right? Why not? That's just iterating. That's just taking legend and changing because I'm listening to what my customers need and how I can help them. And that's how you will make a difference in your small business. If you think about who is your customer, let's try that again. Who are you serving? You can tell I am passionate because when I get passionate, I talk super fast. And then I talk super fast and, my brain is going faster than my mouth can go and I get a little caught up. So thank you for forgiving me for that and knowing that that is just a part of my personality. I'm just excited to share all of this with you because I love it. You can tell I love it. This is exciting for me to arm you with this. So realize that I've constantly iterated. I've constantly changed. You have to do the same thing. Who is your customer? Who do you love? Who do you want to help? Who do you want to serve? And what are all the things that they need? What does that look like? How can you help them? How can you take your business and continue to make some adjustments so that you can help them? Because realize that a strong, stable business doesn't just have one line of revenue. You're going to start with one, but you're going to pick out a couple of different ones that you can offer. Because in the wintertime, depending upon where you live, there may not be any grass to mow if you're a landscaper. There's going to be things that you could plant or mulch that you could do or trees that you could trim, leaves that you can get up. There are all of different things that you can do, but you've got to be willing to do them and you've got to be listening to what your customer's asking you to do. Okay? That's how you're going to survive. Do not fall in love with your product and do not focus on making the perfect product. Fall in love with your customer, find out what they need and want, and be the solution to those needs and wants. Have a solution for your customer and constantly iterate, change, grow, and you will stay in those customers' lives because they're going to need you because you're giving them everything they need. That's where you want to be. So your challenge for today is, how do you get there? What does that look like for you? If you've been falling in love with your product, pull yourself out. Go start listening to your customer. What do they need? What do they want? How can you offer that to them? How can you exceed their expectations, create raving fans, and move your business forward? Go and be legendary.